Okay, so throwback time, and will be the last thing we're going to talk about today. This was actually suggested by Maddy.
Yeah, I made Ryan watch the Gooey Gus episode of Ghostwriter,
well,
and I did not watch it because I was too scared to watch it.
Okay, first of all, she messages me and she goes, "I think we should talk about the Gooey Gus episode," and I was like, "That's so weird." I was just thinking about that yesterday out of the blue. Because I was thinking about Ghostwriter for some reason.
I'm always thinking about Ghostwriter, like constantly. When I think about shows that I thought were amazing as a kid, Ghostwriter is like number one.
It's still up there. I mean,
so
considering
good.
what I watched yesterday.
Okay, so anyway, the show ended with this episode about Gooey Gus, which is like a purple monster that's sort of made out of purple bubblegum. Kind of, but he's a monster and he also kills people by spitting purple bubblegum at them and like encasing them in gum.
Yeah, it encases them in gum that hardens and also burns their skin off.
Yep. So he's a fucking terrifying monster. And this was how they ended their children's show, which had some scary elements. Like, it's worth noting that Ghostwriter was like kind of a freaky show. Like, it's about a ghost that talks to kids and helps them solve mysteries that are sometimes not like kind of dangerous for kids to be solving. Like in some cases, it sort of depended on the mystery. Like sometimes a culprit would just be a kid like them, and sometimes it'd be an adult. Mm-hmm. So like the show was already kind of scary, but that's okay for kids because like, you know, kids like to be a little scared.
And
but I would
in the
say
90s was
this episode went way too fucking far because everybody who watched Ghostwriter remembers this was the final episode and was terrified.
See, the funny thing is that I remember when I was a kid, I had stopped watching Ghostwriter, but I couldn't remember why. I said to Maddy, I was like, there was something really scary on there, and I couldn't remember what it was. And Maddy like sends me a picture, and she's like, "Was it this?" I was like, "Holy fuck!" I like repressed that shit.
Yeah, because it's terrifying.
You're gonna have to Google it.
You rewatched it. You rewatched the entire episode and like gave me blow by blow in chat, like
I was freaking out the whole time. So first of all, I'm gonna clarify that a Ghostwriter episode is actually 4 episodes. And they're like over half an hour long sometimes. So I'm sitting there talking to Maddy. I'm like, this has been going on for 3 hours. I'm watching this terrifying thing murder the children. Okay, so the premise of the actual episode, though, is that for some reason, one of the characters has like the Gooey Gus doll. It's not explained. And then I guess the whole deal is that if Gooey Gus gets too hot, watch out. And then, okay, but
watch out, he's gonna kill you.
And then immediately, pretty much, and then immediately it becomes Inception because they're like, we're actually writing stories about the Gooey Gus story contest. So who can write the scariest Gooey Gus story will win. So they all work together, like all 10 cast members, and they keep on presenting this story in which the doll is coming to life and trying to murder them. So it's a group of friends writing together about how they all are killed by this doll.
Which admittedly is the kind of thing that you and I would have done as kids.
Oh, it takes a dark turn too, because like it starts kidnapping the characters and encasing them in the bubble gum, and when it hits them, they scream, "Oh, it's burning my skin off!" And it had started off as like jump scares where like one of the other characters was just trying to scare the person with the doll, but then the doll overheated because one of the parents put the doll into a pot because they thought it was food.
Which would not happen.
I was going to say, it was like the
parents, am I right?
I was like, what the hell? So then he goes on a killing spree.
The doll, yeah.
Yeah, and then
it's a doll.
Right, and I guess the hotter he gets, the more powerful he gets. So he turns into this giant, like 10-foot monster. Eventually, that's like way taller than them.
This is the monster that haunted my nightmares. Was the monster that was way taller than them?
I didn't even remember getting tall, and I was like, "It's really tiny, Maddy." I was like, "Oh, never mind."
I remember that it got tall, and I remember having nightmares where like I was walking down the street, and then all of a sudden somebody would turn around and would be Gooey Gus, like in the dream, and it was terrifying. Like I keep remembering that dream, which I don't even think that happens in the episode, but like. I like vividly have that memory. No, he just
blatantly chases them. Yeah. It senses that it's a story they're writing. They keep on breaking like various walls. So like, they're writing the story and then something will happen. And then that character in the story will turn to the camera of the TV show and be like, I'm writing this story right now, so I can do whatever I want. And I'm like, what the fuck?
I think the reason why they did that was to attempt to make it less scary by being like, oh, it's like a story within a story, so this isn't real, but like it did not help at all.
Okay, so there's two things I need to point on here with this. Is that at some point in the room they're writing the story, they noticed that the Gooey Gus doll moved to the shelf, and they were like, the doll can't move on its own. This is just a story that we're writing. And then they like never address it again for the rest of the episode. I was like, are they gonna follow that up?
Nope. Turns out the doll can move on its own in real life, but don't worry about it.
So anyway, I guess I can't remember if it was Jamal or somebody else. I think it was Jamal that comes running in.
I thought it was Jamal and Tina who like.
Yeah, it is. And so Tina was smart and she hid from the thing, and like literally what everyone else.
Of that? Like Tina was like, "What if we hide from the monster?"
Yeah. And hold on, I have a fun thing about Tina too, but I'll get to that in a second. And Jamal comes in because he was like the super scientist of all of them, so he figured out a formula, which was just like dropping a shitload of vegetable oil on him, I guess.
Yeah, because vegetables destroy bubblegum. Everyone knows that.
Okay. So he comes in and everybody's encased. Everybody's like dead and encased in these like gum cocoons. And like
so it's like the end of Alien. Like it's like the most terrifying thing you've ever seen. Like children in the walls.
Pretty much. So Jamal gives Tina the concoction to kill him, and he like baits him out, and then she drops it on him, and then they kill him and he wins, and they're like, yay, that was great. And then it cuts away and they're like, we finished the story, great. And then it cuts to the rooftop, and like everybody's like celebrating the end of middle school, and I can't tell if it's middle school or high school because they all don't look like they're middle school, and they're saying middle school, and some people are saying prom, and I'm like, what the hell is happening?
I think it was supposed to be middle school. It's just that the actors got too old by the end of the show. Do you know what I mean? Because I feel like when the show started, they were all really young.
Right.
I think it was actually supposed to take place in middle school. I kind of vaguely remember that. I don't know. Anyway,
so they're on the rooftop.
I think we had a shitty prom at the end of middle school. I feel like we probably
had a school dance or something like that.
Yeah. So that's probably what it was.
But they're on the rooftop, and they are all like partying and celebrating and talking about the show in general. And like,
Ryan
and they're like giving each other necklaces, like the original cast members, be like, to remember where we came from with Ghostwriter. And then they open a thing, and fucking Gooey Gus is in there, and he screams something. He was like, ready for slime. I'm angry, mad. And then he shoots slime and kills everyone again. And then it shoots to the computer screen and says, gotcha. And everyone turns and goes, gotcha. And I'm like, it wasn't enough that they already killed everyone once in this episode. They just wanted to do it one more time real quick. But it was also weird because I couldn't tell what was happening because there was this whole subplot with what's her name, the musician.
Casey,
I can't remember. There are so many characters on that show. It was like jamming with this other guy and like had this date with him at the prom.
I can't believe that there was like more than one plot in addition to a purple monster.
But the thing is that it was so weird because like I think it was happening both in the show and in the story at the same time. So I had no idea which ones were like the Gooey Gus story and which ones were like her actually dating him because like they were simultaneous events happening at the same time with the same events happening, whereas the rest of it was shit they were making up.
That's so confusing. And I feel like even when I was a kid, I remember being confused, and I think it was like intentionally done, like, oh, is this real? Is it not real? But it was actually like the most confusing possible way to tell the story ever. And it was also terrifying. So it's like, okay, so you want the audience to be alienated and confused by your storytelling technique. And you also want them to be alienated and confused by the fucking monster that's killing kids.
That's chasing them. Although there's a...
Okay, you did it. You fucking did it. You made the scariest episode of television ever. And also it's 2 hours long because it was actually 4 episodes.
It was actually a great moment in there where the girls were trapped on the roof and they were like, how are they going to get out of there? Because the door wasn't opening. And the girls took over and they're like, it's time for the girls to write this. And so it literally cuts back and their line goes, we're strong women. We can open this door. And they're like, rip it off its hinges and run in. And I was like, yes.
That's amazing, but also I'm pretty sure that 4 12-year-old girls could not rip a door off.
It was 2.
I want to believe that wish fulfillment fantasy is real, but I'm pretty sure it's not.
It was so funny. I loved it. It
sounds great. Maybe
it was just like, it's still pretty horrifying. And
I was so scared of it as a kid that even as an adult, I'm like, I don't know if I want to rewatch this because I was like scared that I would have a nightmare about fucking Gooey Gus again. How sad is that? I'm almost 30 years old.
Looks like
I don't want to have a nightmare about Gooey Gus.
He looks like Nemesis, but with Gooey Gus for a head. That's what he looks like.
Terrifying. Bye.